Hey, what is up guys? This is Nishi from MST.TV here, back with another Market Watch episode. So it has only been a week since the last Market Watch, but I feel like a ton of different things have happened. We got all of those spoilers for Ghost from the past two. There are new cards and archetypes revealed that will be coming out in Power of the Elements, and we also had the Despia deck officially released here in the TCG. That is a ton of different things that are causing price shifts all over the market as people are reacting to all of this news. So of course, in today's episode, we are going to take a look at some of the notable price spikes that we've seen from over the weekend as a result of these releases and news. Let's get started. Alright, kicking things off, let's take a look at Branded Opening. So we looked at this card a few weeks back when it was a $5 to $6 card, and we noted how important this card is for the Branded Despia deck. It allows you to special summon Albaz directly out of your deck, and as a quick play spell, that means you can do so in the draw phase as a way to play around Droll and Blackbeard. This is definitely a 3 of in the Branded Despia strategy, so it should come as no surprise to see the card shot up in price with the official release of the structure deck. We've actually seen this card triple up in value to where it's now sitting at $15 lowest on TCG Player, a pretty crazy amount for a super rare from such a recent set. The last time that we did talk about this card, we also said it could be reprinted in an upcoming reprint set, and that could make it much more affordable again. But seeing that it wasn't reprinted in Ghost from the past two, that's one big reprint set that this card missed. From here, I suppose we could see it in something like an OTS tournament pack, but realistically, it's probably not going to be reprinted again until the 2022 Megatins. So from here, I think we are pretty close to where this card is going to peak at in terms of price. If we see the deck do really well and just take like a ton of top spots at the next big event, there is a chance that this card could shoot up further in price to $20, maybe $25 each, but I think that realistically this card is going to maintain a really steady $10 to $15 price tag for the next little while. There is one other branded card we're going to take a look at for today. It is Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. This is a dark fiend that you can make using a Despia monster and either a light or a dark monster. This card kind of reminds me of Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon. It forces your opponent to pay 600 life points every time they try to activate any card or effect. This may seem pretty underwhelming, but you can actually put 2 of these out onto the board pretty easily, and 1200 points of damage for each effect activation is nothing to laugh at. Against a deck like Prank Kids, getting 2 of these out could mean that your opponent not having an immediate answer could win you the game, right? Because that's only like 7 effects that they get to activate, and that's nothing for that deck. Unfortunately, Masquerade does only have 1 printing from Burst of Destiny as an ultra rare. Although this is a fairly new card, this card is actually played at 2 in a lot of the pure Despia decks. It's not like a 1 of extra deck option, so the demand for this card is pretty high, and as a result, the card is currently just over the $20 mark for a single copy on TCG Player. Now, it doesn't help that people are almost as hyped for Despia as Celtics fans are about Jason Tatum's game winner against Brooklyn from this weekend, so literally everyone is trying to find copies of Masquerade for themselves to use. Unfortunately, this card is probably just another card that you're going to have to wait for the 2022 Megatin reprints, so you'll have to decide if you want to pay up a little bit for this card now in order to play the deck, or wait until the reprints drop so that you can play the deck on a little bit less of a budget. Next up, we have Brigade Kit. So I think Brigade has kind of fallen off over the last little while. At YCS Charlotte, there wasn't a single player that made top 32 with a Brigade deck. However, it seems like not that long ago that we saw things like Zodiac Brigade and Lyrilusc Brigade running around in the format. That being said, I think Brigades are the sort of deck that have a lot of potential. Maybe they just need the right pilot or build to see some sort of competitive success. Well, apparently players are speculating that the new support from the Albaz Strike structure deck might actually be a big boost for the deck, as we've seen some builds running around that use Branded Fusion and Mirror Jade as your Verte Anaconda targets, along with Mercurier, a new card from the Albaz Strike deck as well. Now, personally, I'm not too fond of this version. I think if I were to play Brigade myself, I would rather use DPE because it can take advantage of Brigade's better grind game. However, I can understand people being hyped up for new support and a new build for the deck. Because of this, we have seen Kit jump up in price yet again, going from $4 or $5 a couple of months ago to now being a $9 to $10 card. Whereas Fractal and Farragut, among other Brigade cards, were reprinted in last year's tins, Kit falls just outside of the reprint range since it was from Blazing Vortex and probably isn't going to be reprinted until the 2022 tins, so we have a few more months to go with just the one printing of Kit available. So just like with Masquerade, whether you want to pay a little bit more for access to the card now for you to use, or wait until the reprint for access to a slightly cheaper version, that's entirely up to you. On to the next card, let's take a look at Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Shout out here to Artistic for commenting about this card in the last Market Watch. So with the release of the Albaz Strike deck, players are being forced to adapt their hand trap choices to the current format. Although they may have been good last format, cards like Nibiru and Effect Veiler just aren't really great main deck choices because of how ineffective they are in the Despia matchup. As it turns out, Ghost Bell has become a very popular hand trap recently, as it can hit cards like Branded in Red or Water Enchantress of the Temple, two very important cards that you're going to be seeing a lot of moving forward. The Kali Effect also did mention this card in a video where he talked about cards to pick up soon before they spike in price as well. Anyways, the secret rares are actually crazy expensive, with the first eds being $130 each, while the unlimiteds are still up at $100 a piece. And oddly enough, despite this card having multiple reprints, all of those reprints, even the not so pretty gold rare ones, are up at anywhere between $7 to $10 a piece, despite being just a couple of dollars on release. If there's one thing we've learned about Yu-Gi-Oh! Over the last few years, it's just how important hand traps can be to stop your opponent from setting up an unbreakable board before you even have the chance to play the game. So I guess this shouldn't really come as too much of a surprise. If you guys don't already own a set of Ghost Bells, it's definitely a card that you should look into, as hand traps are consistently holding value despite how they will rotate in and out of formats. Alternatively, you can also wait for another reprint before picking them up if you don't need to play with them for the next several months. Next, this one's gonna feel really random. It is Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. This is the Plunder Patrol Link monster, the water attribute one that you can cheat out using the other Plunder Patrols, but it's also a Link 2 that just requires one of the materials to be a Plunder Patrol monster. This basically lets you summon a Plunder Patrol monster out of your extra deck, then equip one of your monsters to that monster to draw a card. Now, to be completely honest, I have no idea how Plunder Patrols work. I don't know what their win condition really is or anything like that. However, I do remember a month or so ago when Tom was talking about a Plunder Patrol deck that did really well when mixed with the Adventurer token engine, so I do know that the deck is actually pretty legit and has a lot of potential if played by the right person. Now, although this top was a month ago, we are starting to see Blackbeard trending on the market now because of the other Plunder Patrol cards that were reprinted in Ghost from the past two. We saw reprints to Redbeard, Whitebeard, Mork, and Brawn, amongst other things, but not Blackbeard, which means this is one of the key pieces that players are going to be forced to now pick up in order to complete the strategy. This is a pretty common trend with reprint sets. Konami will reprint a bunch of cards from one archetype, but they'll overlook something, and that card that didn't get reprinted will shoot up in price because it's now that missing piece that everyone's looking for. Blackbeard isn't too expensive yet, it's only around $5 right now, but if we start to see Plunder Patrols become more popular over the next little while because there's this increase in availability, then there's a chance that Blackbeard could go up to maybe $10 or $15. If you want to play Plunder Patrols and give them a try, I would actually consider picking up a couple copies of this card while it's still down at $5 before they potentially get any higher. Okay guys, so today we're going to round off today's video by looking at two cards that have caught people's attention because of some new support that we have coming out in the very near future. So first we'll take a look at Vendread Slayer. So in the last Market Watch we looked at Vendread Battlelord as a Shockmaster type of card for the Vendread deck, which is getting new support in Power of the Elements. Well, now Slayer feels like another combo piece that might be used as a mid sort of extender. Most importantly, if this card is ritual summoned and then sent to the graveyard, you search for a ritual spell and then dump a Vendread monster to the graveyard as well. So that's a lot of value that you're getting from linking off the one card, and this card doesn't even miss timing either. This super rare version of this card is about $4 right now. Doesn't seem like too much, but it is a decent jump considering the card was under $1 each for most of its lifetime. Furthermore, this super rare printing is the card's only holo version, which came out back in OTS Tournament Pack 6. If the Vendread archetype actually does get a bit more support, or is maybe going to become slightly relevant because of some other zombie support that we have around in the game, then maybe this is a card that you will want to keep an eye on Personally, I think the Vendread archetype looks really cool and features some really cool artwork, so I'm definitely hoping that they'll get some more support soon. Alright, the last card we have to talk about for today is Teardrop the Rika Queen. This is a generic rank 8 monster with a really simple effect. You can detach a material to tribute a monster on your opponent's side of the field, and if this card has a plant as a material, that becomes a quick effect. Super simple, but tributing can be a great way to get around cards that are immune to destruction, like Sword Soul Changying. Now, Rikas aren't a particularly scary deck. I did lose to a person playing Sun Avalon at locals that used a couple of Rika cards in it, but I don't think he actually used the Rika stuff for that much. However, the Rika deck is actually getting a couple of new support cards in Power of the Elements, including a really broken field spell that lets you tribute your opponent's monsters for Rika effects, as well as search out a Rika spell or trap from your deck. I think that because of this, we have seen a bit of a spike in the prices of a few different Rika cards. Shout out to QB Music for mentioning the Rika cards in the comments of the last Market Watch as well. Now, the Rika archetype came out back in Secret Slayers, where they were definitely outclassed and overshadowed by the Eldritch and Adamancipator archetypes in terms of meta viability, and so I definitely feel like they are forgotten about. We saw the Eldritch and Adamancipator cards already get reprinted, but the Rika stuff is nowhere to be found. However, there were actually 2 Rika short prints in Secret Slayers, Teardrop and another card called Rika Glamour, and this is definitely why we've seen Teardrop shoot up in price. Historically, the card has sat between $15 and $20, but over the last couple of weeks, we've seen the card shoot all the way back up to the $30 mark, which is a lot for a card like this from a maybe not so competitive archetype. I do think that with the upcoming support, we should expect Teardrop and Glamour to be reprinted in one of the upcoming reprint sets, along with several of the other Rika cards. So even though the artwork on a lot of these cards is absolutely beautiful, I would definitely consider offloading them now while there is that initial hype for the cards, and then buying them back down the road once that hype has sort of settled down. Okay guys, that is everything for today's video. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still recovering from all of the news that just came out this past week. So much information. My brain feels like it's being overloaded, but it's also really exciting and a lot of fun. I know I'm like really hyped for Ghost from the Past 2 now because I'm looking for some holo upgrades to various deck cores and stuff like that. And I'm also probably going to look into playing some sort of Despia variant once I do a bit of research, so I'm looking forward to learning all of that as well. Anyways guys, if you did enjoy today's Market Watch, please make sure you let me know by slamming that thumbs up button for me. Also, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think about the cards we talked about today, and also what other cards are trending on the market so I can cover them in a future Market Watch episode as well. Also, if you haven't already, do make sure that you hit that subscribe button to get all of the latest and greatest content from both Tombox and myself here on the channel. And until next time, guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.